Good morning, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project and Magnetic Reversal News, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Thursday, January 16th, 2 p.m. Mountain Time 2020. The models are in the Northeast and the Midwest are the big winners in the next week and a half. Heavy snow moving into the Northeast. Another secondary storm swathing through the Midwest. Heavy snow continues for the mountains west of the divide. Keep calm. It's boom time. Restrictions lifted on I-80 after Sierra snow and 137-mile-per-hour winds. I wouldn't want to be skiing in that or up in that gondola. Day-long travel restrictions were lifted on Interstate 80 in the Sierras late Tuesday after a winter storm packing snow and winds in excess of 130 miles per hour blew through the region, dumping feet of snow. We're going to get to that. Heavy snowfall possible for parts of the area late Friday through Saturday. Heads up, Wisconsin. Snow makes for messy Thursday in Maine. More snow on tap for the weekend. 3 to 6, 5 to 8 in some areas. Hello, Rockland. Maine has 2 more rounds of accumulating snow on tap, the first of which lasts through Thursday. That's now. Here's what to expect. Snow through Thursday. Wind advisory in place for the state as it braces for a weekend storm. Heads up! That's the Northeast. As the beast moves east, it will cover New York State, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and other states in that region. Plummeting temperatures bring lake effect snows right now. Gusty winds traced to 3 inches in Warren, 2 to 5 inches in other regions. And let's take a look at what happened at Jackson Hole over the last 2 weeks. 7 inches, 14 inches, 4, 3, 5 inches, 9 inches, 8 inches, 1 inches, 18, 15, 4, 18, 8. Whoa, 135 inches in 15 straight days of snow. I don't think they're in a drought in Jackson Hole. Here's the 2020 Snowpack update. Boom! Wyoming looking fine. Every single county at 100% or greater snowpack. The rest of the West is the same. Only the yellow counties are below average, and they're all in the 80s, and it's still snowing. So there is no drought in the West. Average or above average snowpack everywhere, and it's halfway through the winter, and it's looking snowy. Another winter storm for Kansas is on the way. Jake Dunn says patchy fog can be found across central Kansas, but visibility is better than it was 24 hours ago. The next weather maker will move through the area tomorrow, today, into Friday. Expect a mixture of sleet and snow to overspread the state from the south on Thursday afternoon and evening. A changeover to freezing rain is likely, and it will be a nightmare in Dodge City, Hayes, and Hutchinson. So heads up, Kansas. Strong storm to bring snow starting Friday. A strong storm will bring snow to southern Wisconsin starting Friday afternoon. There it is. There's your future track Saturday. Saturday noon. Well, you get the picture. Follow the track. We're going to get to the models in just a minute. From 74 degrees to a foot of snow, Northeast braces for storms after record-breaking warmth. After the record-breaking one-day warmth, we'll barely report on the freezing temperatures. Oh, man, these people don't realize. Winter's just begun. We've got a lot of fun to come. Let's check the models. Heavy snow in the Sierras right there over the next 12 hours. It's boom time. Then a system moves into the Four Corners area, dumping snow on us. We're in that little blue dot. The Northeast will experience some light snow as a system sets up here Friday through Saturday in the Midwest. There you can see it developing and moving east. And there's your weekend snow, with snow as far down as Philly, North Jersey, and Long Island picking up on that. And then another system will move through later in the week. And there is your 240-hour model. Heavy snow and wind lash British Columbia South Coast. Dangerous travel forces closures. Rare winter storm and snowfall warnings are in effect for parts of southern British Columbia, including Vancouver Island, with dangerous blizzard-like conditions through Thursday. Significant accumulations for lower mainland Vancouver Island, South Coast, as a major storm moves through yesterday. Potential for blizzard conditions in Vancouver Island. There's your danger zones. Squamish, the big winner. Port Aberdeen, Victoria. It's snowing everywhere down there. Usually balmy. But if we look at the total snow mass for the Northern Hemisphere, those 135-inch 15-day totals are very obvious here on the total snow mass for the Northern Hemisphere, as we're well above average. In fact, we're about 400 gigatons above the norm. That's this dotted line. And we're about 4 weeks early for this amount of snow. So we have heavy snow building in the Northern Hemisphere, regardless of what the mainstream's telling you about record warmth. California woman found alive in snow-covered vehicle 6 days after she went missing. I can't believe this woman sat in this car for 6 days. But that's what the story says. They found her alive, sitting in a car covered in snow 6 days after she went missing. And the first thing she asked for was a blankie. I bet you she was cold. Seismic update. No quakes of note. A big boomer kicking off in the Kamchatka. We have some significant activity still rumbling as high as 5 magnitude in Puerto Rico. And we have some deep, moderate magnitudes over in Chile. So we're going to keep a close eye on Chile as well as Tal Volcano. And we have some more activity on the New Madrid. So we have almost daily activity coming out here on the New Madrid. Here's a 2.5 in Tennessee, Dyersburg. So we'll keep a close eye on that region. Worldwide volcano news update. Sakurajima just exploded. We also have Kamchatka volcanoes exploding and Tal volcano erupting in a kind of a weak puff right there yesterday. But we're going to show you some footage from the Klyuchkov eruption 36 hours ago. There we can see the Kamchatka getting hot, as Klyuchkov is clearly erupting there 36 hours ago. Now, Tal volcano, let's get back to it. The volcano itself has eased the eruptive phase, but Philippines worries the worst is yet to come. The potential threat alarms a country that is no stranger to natural disasters. Thousands of people have been evacuated, may never be able to return to their homes, and that's a lot of people's worry. I would not want to go back to my home for fear of flesh falling off of my body, but some people have nowhere to go, and this is where they were born. So, therein lies the dilemma, the deadly dilemma of where you live. Now let's talk about what's happening here, and let's look at the most recent updates. As of early as January 15th, there was imminent eruption being considered, and the alert level remained at 4. The newest update here, the alert level remains at 4, but there's no more mention of imminent eruption. But such intense seismic activity likely signifies continuous magmatic intrusion beneath the Tal edifice, which may lead to further eruptive activity. So they're easing back on it, but there is still some high seismicity in the area, and we're going to keep a close eye on this volcano as it's alert level 4. Now, what does that mean for us in global cooling? Not much. We're going to get to some scientific facts here. A lot of you are misguided in what's happening with volcanoes worldwide. I get at least 10 to 20 emails a week where people think that each eruption that occurs is going to rapidly cool the Earth. And that's not how it works. None of the eruptions that have occurred over the last several years are very significant as far as stratospheric aerosols. And here's a paper, a review of the global stratospheric aerosol, measurements, importance, life cycle, and local stratospheric aerosols. And what that means as far as cooling. So I'm going to bring you over here to the data set, which goes from 1970 to 2010. And you're going to quickly see 2 major spikes in the middle of this graph. The 1980 spike, here's Mount St. Helens erupting. These are volcanic eruptions here in the triangles. And here we have Pinatubo in 92 erupting. Each of those injecting huge amounts of aerosols. Now, I want you to look at the lag time from St. Helens to the aerosol spike, almost 2 years. Very interesting there. So these data sets are skewed slightly. but they're very indicative of the type of eruption needed to cool the planet. You need a significant one where volumes of dust are pushed into the atmosphere, and we just haven't had a significant eruption. The major eruptions that get above 50 kilometers that have occurred are just an hour or so long. They're not days long or extremely extended. And even the Pinatubo eruption wasn't even that high. It was one of the most significant this century, one of the top two, and it only reached about 32 kilometers, whereas the Taal volcano reached over 50 kilometers, but was very short-lived. So what we need is a long, continuous Taal-type volcano to erupt for a full day to get any type of stratospheric aerosol result that will result in cooling on the Earth. There's just not enough aerosols up there. And we can come over here to a closer data set, and you can see how since Pinatubo, the amount of stratospheric aerosols in the upper atmosphere are completely devoid. They're dropping off a cliff here. That's the right side. The lower atmosphere staying more normal because we have more continuous inputs from pollution around the planet. So the lower atmosphere is going to have a baseline, a pollution baseline here, which is going to be perturbed by minor eruptions. But only major eruptions cause any global cooling spikes. And based on all the data that we can look at today, there have been no eruptions that have effectively cooled the planet yet. But a group of large eruptions is slowly taking effect. So if we come over and look at the stratospheric air, so I'll leave you links to the cataclysmic 1991 eruption of Pinatubo, so you can get your head wrapped around the size and scale of that eruption that actually cooled the planet 1 degree. And also this paper on volcanic impact on the climate, the stratospheric aerosol load from 2006 to 2015, will teach you the science of what stratospheric aerosol load is. And that link will be below. All links are always below. Now let's come over to forcing in the GISS climate model, because that's what we're worried about. Aerosols forcing temperature. And you can see here an amazing graph since the mini ice age, or the Dalton minimum, however you want to look at it, till present. And I want you to notice that since that Pinatubo eruption, there is an uptick on the graph, albeit small. So if we just open this image up, you can clearly see the aerosols increasing due to the eruptive nature of what's happening. I just need to move this over. Okay. Of course it's not going to work for us. And we're stuck. Like Chuck. Okay, I'm just going to erase that. And we'll come back down here to the graph. That's what happened. It got all jiggy. So if we just enlarge this slightly. Bear with me. Bandwidth issues. We're on a satellite and we're in the wilderness. You could come see here through 2000, 2010 to 2018, an increase in this graph. And it's going to go up, up, up until we get a spike. The spike has not occurred yet. When the spike occurs, the mainstream media will be reporting on that eruption continuously. And you'll be the first to know. So those are the facts on stratospheric aerosols. And I have no idea what that is. So you can come over here to Earth System Research Lab, Global Monitoring Division of Aerosols. I'm going to leave you links to the ALT Statistical Summary plot page. And you can get to learn a little bit about aerosols, how they wax and wane annually. And there's been an overall downward trend in the U.S. in the last several years. So, and worldwide. So we're just waiting for some larger, long-duration eruptions to actually start to affect the climate. Just a moderate amount of effect currently in the hundredths of a degree range. Until we get a major amount of aerosols in the form of volume shooting up into the upper atmosphere and the stratosphere, there will be no major cooling. And when that event occurs, we'll know. It will be like Taal volcano, but it will last for days. And once that happens, game on. It's no mystery for drone companies monitoring power lines in eastern Colorado what the mystery is. The mystery has been solved. It's not covert. It's just a bunch of linesmen checking lines like the lazy that they are for the most part. If they're not climbing a line, they're sitting in their truck. They sit in their truck most of the day. Drive around, sit in the truck. Now they can sit in the truck all day because they don't have to do anything. They just play video games and scare out of the population and don't tell anyone what they're doing. Companies working with drones in eastern plains say the technology is an important advancement in helping industries like electrical utilities do less work and burn more forests. By not actually looking at the lines or any of the trees touching them, we're just sitting in our trucks and flying drones. And that's what it's devolved to. And then conspiracy theories stem out. And guys like this are like, what? I'm just a drone, man. I'm just flying my drone. So if you want to know more information about the drones that are checking the power lines, and there is no... Anyway. Jeff Bezos. Today's climate change deniers just aren't reasonable. Well, neither is Jeff Bezos. First of all, he dresses like an idiot. Like, what the does he have on here? He's like Mahatma Gandhi. But you can go, according to Jeff, according to Mr. Bezos, king of retail, who sells more plastic shit and has more effect on the gyre in the ocean than any human on the planet. But we're going to go with Jeff Bezos and talk about climate. Yeah, he's a genius. You can go back 10 to 20 years. And there were people who just did not acknowledge that climate change was real. Anyone who doesn't think climate change is real is not smart. Climate always changes. And of course it's real. It's only real because we're alive and we're experiencing it. So Jeff, no one believes that climate change is not real. What we argue is that man has something to do with it. And therein lies your problem. We humans are affecting this planet in a very significant and dangerous way. Yes, we are. We're dumping some of the most toxic materials into the oceans. We're spraying it on our foods, and none of it is being regulated. But what is being regulated is plant food, and it is being blamed for all the problems on Earth. Plant food. Not PCBs, not trichlorinated ethylenes, not benzene or xylene or frac fluid. None of that. That's all good. Plant food is terrible and it's burning us up and we're all dying. According to Jeff Bezos and the other mockeries that are involved in the ruse called the mainstream media. When this narrative blows wide open and everyone realizes what a scam it was, these people are going to be hunted. That's simple. And they know it. I think they know it. And they're scared. They're like, oh, I hope everyone doesn't find out. Oh, my God. Okay, we've got lots of tabs open. The Arctic is heating up faster than anywhere else. Could we cool the Earth with an ice-free Arctic? This is just more nonsense to get you more confused. So please, take some time to confuse yourself and read some nonsense. Now, here's some facts about actual climate change on Earth. It's not your fault, and that's involved in cooling. Strange Martian mineral mounds rise up from Utah's Great Salt Lakes. Now, these mineral deposits are very rare at the latitude that they're occurring. These rare mounds of crystalline material have emerged above the surface of Utah's Great Salt Lake. Now, the mineral in question is pretty common. And I'm not even going to get a name here. It's in there. Give me a second. I read this article 3 times and it's missing. Mirabilite. Yeah, mirabilite is typically creating these mounds, which are about 3 feet high and about 20 feet wide. So it's pretty spectacular if you go out there and see them right now. They're on the southern shore of the Great Salt Lake. These only occur above the surface in the Arctic. And they happen to spring up this winter above the surface of the water. They usually form down deep under the salt water, but this year they're forming by the edge. Typically triggered by hydrothermal activity in the subsurface in polar regions, this mirabilite is now happening in Utah. Hello? So rare amounts of crystalline minerals, you can just drive out there and go take a look, indicative of cooling in the northern hemisphere. How nodules stay on top at the bottom of the sea. Many people send me articles about these unexplained circular objects in the earth that are ancient concrete or some other made-up nonsense. And then when they do analysis, they contain manganese. Oh, my God. These are nodules from the bottom of the ocean. If you want to know more about how nodules form, the circular things that no one knows what they are, I assure you that every geologist knows what a concretion or a nodule is. We see it every day in the field when we go look at sedimentary rocks, especially in deep anoxic marine sediments, which are black shales and other things. So these are not alien balls or whatever else you think they are, fossilized UFOs. There are geochemical processes that are occurring right now in the bottom of our oceans, and they're just unraveling how they even occur. So we're just learning. Get it? And they're not UFOs, and they're not man-made. Chemtrails hard. Okay, we're having some connectivity issues. Now let's get some of the facts. We're going to just talk about some facts. The Earth has been warming since the mini ice age. It stopped warming just a few years ago, but the effect should linger for at least a decade. We should have hit a moderate plateau, which we call the pause in global warming, which is where we're living now. Now, the last decade was confirmed as the warmest on record, as it should be, because it was the end of the solar max, which should be the warmest time in recent history. So this is not even news. What is news is that they're blaming it on you, which is a complete fraud. This has everything to do with natural climate change, natural climate variability, and the fact that we just ended solar max and we're dropping off a cliff, kids. So if you think this winter was cold, or you think the last 3 winters with record snow was cold, in a decade from now, we are going to be in an area that has never been seen by modern humans since the 1800s. It will be a completely different paradigm, one in which global warming will not exist because very few places will be record hot. But in the meantime, in the next 5 years, we're going to have more record hot temperatures with record cold side by side. As that magnetic field tweaks out on the sun and our magnetosphere wanes, we're going to be waiting for a multiple flare event to start taking off the grid because our magnetosphere is now down 25%, and it's dropping exponentially. So in the next 5-10 years, it's anyone's guess how quick the magnetosphere will wane, how cold it will get, how poorly crops will come in, and you need to be prepared. If you're prepared, it doesn't matter. We're prepared so that if there is no more electric, it doesn't matter. We can go on with our business. Most people can't, because once their job is done and all that, they won't even know what to do. They don't even know how to read a book. They're going to be like, I can't watch Netflix. What will I do? I will be bored to death. And that's over 2/3 of the population that are about to be bored to death. It's a terrible way to die. Now, if we come over here and look at the average global temperature, it is 0.56 degrees above the 50-year baseline. A half a degree above the baseline. Temperature can rise as much as 0.7 degrees above baseline, like back here in 1998. Nobody cares. Look at this change from 0.6 to 0.4. That's a 1 degree change in 3 years. No one was saying global warming back in 1986. Well, very few people were. That was the end of global cooling because it was the end of this cool period. So it cooled, and then we stopped talking about cooling. Then it warmed a half degree. We're like, oh, we're burning up. But if you look at the data in the last 3 to 5 years, the temperature trend is down. Even though we have this spike, I explained that every 4 to 5 years there is a temperature spike, and we're just in one of those spikes. And after every temperature spike, there is a massive drop. Over a half a degree, which is where we're at now. We're waiting for a drop to take us below baseline, which will be happening very soon. Mark my words. It doesn't work linearly. Climate is natural and variable. Spy satellite images uncover staggering amount of Everest ice loss because they're taking the data from 100 years ago. Of course we would see ice loss if the Earth was warming for 100 years since the last mini ice age. This couldn't be more disingenuous obfuscation from the truth. They take the full data set when they need it, but they only use a little bit when they want to lie, but they're always lying. The hottest new thing in sustainable building is wood. Oh, wow. Did you know that if you cut a tree down, you could plant 100 more in its place? And in just a period of 20 to 30 years, get 5 times more biodiversity in the same spot? The Earth has been sustainable for billions of years, which is why we're here, and all the biodiversity exists. If you think the insignificant little film of human filth can affect the Gaiosphere, you've been duped, and the CIA won. Now, the hottest new thing in sustainable building is, of all things, wood. Who knew? Well, we have about 45 acres of old-growth forest and enough wood to cut down for the rest of our lives and never even make a dent. Proper prior planning. Who knew? Now, if you want to get pissed, Australia's prehistoric Wollemi pine trees were saved from the bushfires as people's homes died and They didn't give a... But there was a covert activity where firefighters were actually saving some trees. And look at what a good job they did. While your house burned, they saved this valley of trees. Good job. Those are the greenies controlling the narrative and saving some remote tree while your house burns. SpaceX continues to blast satellites into orbit as the space community worries. 60 satellites at a time are getting shot up into low Earth orbit. These are all going to fall down on us very soon. And Elon Musk will not be too popular at that point. Mark my words. Because we'll probably still have most of the grid up, and we'll be experiencing it, and it will be a show. One in which we've never seen before. I got no bandwidth. Apologize. We're just all white screen here. See if we can get anything up here. Oh, there's a DARPA one. DARPA-backed living bricks could reproduce, self-heal, and slurp CO2. I'm sure you've seen some of the headlines. There are bricks that they're now making that are alive. Researchers have discovered a method which they are able to create a living brick that turns carbon dioxide into CaCO3, the main ingredient for cement. Studies with cyanobacteria, we just refer to as a bacteria from here out, showed great potential for future building products when used in a combination with sand, carbon dioxide, and a specific range of humidity. I don't know how much that will cost, but it certainly won't save the planet. Now, where are we? I can't load any of this. Antarctic experiments reveal strange ghost particles that physics can't explain. Yeah, they can, but they just don't know why it's happening because their models are all failures. The standard models are failures. The classical model of cosmology is a failure. Formation of planets, the accretionary disk model, all nonsense. And now cosmic rays are shooting out of Antarctica and they're wondering what's happening. They should hit something. Now, what if the Earth has a plasmoid in the center that's maybe, let's say, creating its own cosmic rays and shooting them out that pole? That would only happen in an electric universe, and it does not fit their model, so their minds are blown. They're unwilling. They're unwilling. Their brains are sealed. They cannot get new information in and say, oh my God, we were wrong. I now know, I see the light, and it's between Diamond's neck and the side. There's the light. Oh, where is it? It's over here. Yeah, cosmic rays shooting out of Antarctica, unexplainable. Strange new particles detected in Antarctica may call for a new physics. You think? Long overdue. California teachers could be required to teach about climate change. Pink elephants and other things like the spaghetti monster. We all know they're real. It's probably nothing. No, it's definitely not nothing. No, it's definitely nothing. Gravitational waves do not exist, and therefore they cannot be detected near Betelgeuse. Period. But we can do the math and make you believe. An unknown burst of gravitational waves just lit up Earth's detectors. Thanks, LIGO, for spending trillions of dollars to teach us nothing. There's ripples in space. Now, can I have $1 billion? Here's another bit of nonsense. This is how humans came to rule the planet. We killed everybody. Now, according to this article, we've made mammoths and sloths extinct. We've killed everyone. We've even killed up to 12 other species of humans that we didn't like. And we're the only ones left. We're an evil, disgusting group of hominids. I agree with that as far as the pollution is concerned and the way many people act in public. But if you read this article, there's no truth in it. It's all nonsense. Cosmic catastrophes have caused almost all evolutionary events and mass extinctions since time began. And the fact that mammoths made it through the last mass extinction alone on an island in Siberia until just 4,200 years ago is testament to that. The fact that the way mainstream science is going, where they get funding if they can blame something on you, is completely disgusting. There is no science going on. There is a blame game for funding, but it has nothing to do with knowledge. It has nothing to do with a better earth, with less pollution, more prosperity, less poverty. No one cares about that. Politicians are paid to lie about that and go, bah, 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 but no one's doing anything about it. Do you know how many people go out and feed the homeless every day? It's negligible. Just a few of us. I mean, I've been feeding hungry people for decades. I've been giving away everything that I have to anyone who needs it. Which is why I wake up generally happy every day. And people still don't get it. They still want to hoard. They still want to, go after all those material possessions in the hopes that they will feel better. When in order to feel better, all you have to do is be nice to others. Period. And if it doesn't make you feel better when you're being nice to others, it's because you haven't been nice to yourself. That's where it all starts. Be nice to yourself, and then it becomes easy to be nice to others. And we certainly didn't murder all the species and kill all the... Anyway. Even when sober, frequent marijuana users are dangerous drivers, report finds. Must be a flawed report. I'm have the safest driving record ever. I've driven millions of miles since I was 16. I've driven circles around the U.S. again and again and again and again and again in just a few days. And I've never gotten in an accident that's my fault. Ever. Except when an elk hit me 2 years ago. But he hit me from the side. I didn't hit the elk. He ran into the side of the truck. So that was not preventable. And each and every one of those times I was driving, there was THC in my blood. So, just more nonsense. The exact opposite of the truth. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Now, this is an unfortunate scenario. 3 arrested after cages for children found in Alabama home. This is exactly what my crib looked like. But back in the 70s, this was not illegal. Maybe it was, but no one gave a fuck. I'm glad they care now. Because had these children been kept in the cage, then they would have been beaten when they're older and so on and so forth, and they would have become diamond. Probably alcoholics and killed themselves. Keeping your immune system healthy is a way to keep the flu bug away. And every other disease. This is information they don't want you to know. Your gut biome, your food intake, the nutrient density of the food. It's what keeps you alive. Maximum. Prevents diseases. It's the food you eat. You are what you eat. Hope you got something out of the video. We have a winter storm watch. Soon to be a winter storm warning in our region for up to 18 inches of snow, starting in just a few hours. We wish you all well. Thanks to all of our one-time donors. Everyone who shares these videos. We love you. Be safe. Don't cage your kids.